Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're moving away from old structures of greed, exploitation, and service to self to human evolution on the planet, where peace, respect for all beings, unity consciousness, and love and compassion is the theme. There will be abundance for everyone. Joining us tonight to discuss this is Vidya Frazier. Vidya has had a passion for exploring the spiritual journey for over 50 years and has written 4 books on the 5D shift, including Awakening to the Fifth Dimension, Ascension, embracing the transformation, Triumph of the Light, and the Ascension Lightworker's Guide. Her website is vidyafrazier.com. Vidya, welcome. It's great to have you.
Oh, thank you. It's just wonderful to be here and to know that even people from the Caribbean are joining us. It's just a great feeling. Also, first, I want to say that, it's always somewhat hard when I'm going to be giving a talk to a group like this to know how to approach the material I teach and write about, because I never quite know who knows what already and who doesn't. People are always at different levels of familiarity and understanding of the material. So I'm assuming it's probably true about this group too. Some of you likely know a lot about 5D, others may be somewhat new to it. So I'll be kind of shooting down the middle with how I describe things and see how that goes. So the information I'll be sharing at first will be about what 5D actually is. Right. And then I'll be describing what 5D consciousness is and how it's possible to dip into this consciousness now, even before ascension actually takes place. And then at that point, I'll stop and we can probably have some discussion and questions about that whole subject. And then afterwards, I'll be speaking about the difficulties of getting through this 4D phase of ascension that we're now in and how to make our journey a bit smoother. And then again, I guess, I'll stop and we'll have discussion and questions at that point too. So I also want to tell you that the information I'll be sharing is what I have heard and read about the subject over many decades of time, actually, mainly from spiritual teachers, channels, and spiritual texts that have resonated with me and made sense to me. But also, it'll be from information that I've received from my own inner guidance about the subject, which has gotten clearer and clearer over the years. But perhaps not of all of what I'll be sharing with you will resonate with what you've heard or understood. And this is understandable because there are many different sources now giving information these days. And also, there are so many levels and layers of this very complicated subject of 5D. So if your information differs from mine, don't worry about it. This will just make for some interesting discussion along the way, right? So, okay, let me start with the simple question of what is the fifth dimension? Actually, let me start by describing what a dimension is, which can be helpful. So first of all, it's not a place. A dimension is a level of consciousness, a state of being that vibrates at a certain frequency, which then creates a reality that matches that frequency. Consciousness creates reality, right? Okay, so the dimension we've lived in for thousands of years, of course, has been called 3D. And this is a very dense and limited and constricted dimension in which humanity has been very much controlled by dark forces. I'm sure we all know about this. And it's where the experience of all negative emotions and thoughts and actions occur. Fear, anger, polarization, manipulation, oppression, greed, war, poverty, all those things that we're very familiar with. And 5D, of course, is very different. Again, it's not a place. We're not going anywhere. We'll still be here on Earth, but our experience of the Earth and life and our experience of ourselves will be really different. The fifth dimension is where we will finally awaken into full consciousness of who we are. which is truly powerful, multidimensional beings of love and light, because we will have merged and reintegrated with the true essence of who we are. And we're going to enjoy an ongoing freedom from fear. I mean, just imagine that. No fear, no shame, no judgment, no separation. And instead, we'll be living in a state of unconditional love and inner peace and joy, harmony, kindness. And all of our institutions will reflect this state of consciousness. There'll be harmonious cooperation and co-creation that are going to just come naturally to humanity as we work together and create a beautiful, peaceful world together. And we'll have a knowing of oneness in which everyone will naturally act out of love and compassion so that there is abundance for all. The fifth dimension is also a reality without limitations. You know, all possibilities within that higher frequency are available to us. As we progress through the several layers of that dimension, you know, or levels, you know, every dimension isn't just one thing. There are levels of consciousness within that dimension. Anyway, as we progress through the fifth dimension, our full DNA will gradually be activated. And the 90% of our brain that's been dormant for thousands of years will be turned on again. Physical density, as we know it, will be gone. You know, form is going to be somewhat fluid, and physical bodies will have morphed into a crystalline structure, you know, rather than carbon-based. And of course, even before we're in 5D, and I think a lot of us know this, there's going to be incredible technology available to us that will completely heal our physical bodies and assist in healing anything else within ourselves. There are going to be free energy devices, med beds, replicators, and these things will see us through till we don't need them anymore. Because in 5D, as fully conscious beings, we'll be able to access within ourselves information and wisdom that reside in many of the higher dimensions that will do the same things. And we'll be thinking from our hearts, making soul-guided choices. And, you know, we'll be experiencing psychic abilities that we had long ago, such as telepathy and clairvoyance. And, you know, much of what we will experience will just pour forth wordlessly from our hearts rather than from our minds. And eventually, speaking out loud will be optional. It won't be necessary. So in essence, the fifth dimension is a state of being that's going to feel like home to us. And finally making the shift into this reality, it will truly feel as if we are returning home after maybe eons of time for some of us, of existing elsewhere where we've only had a sense of longing and dreams of this home to sustain us. So, in a nutshell, according to the 5D paradigm, this is where the Earth is now headed. And those of us on this ascension path will be going with it and experiencing this.
Vidya, how did you get on this path? You've been at this for quite a while, and you've mentioned that you've been experiencing greater clarity within your own person about this unfolding.
Yeah, I originally, I think back in the 70s, I had a spiritual teacher who told us that sometime within the next century, you know, in the 2000s, there'd be a golden age that was going to happen. And I remember immediately saying to myself, yes, I know this. I know this. Some part of me just came awake. And, you know, at that point, it was, you know, a wonderful thing to look forward to. But then years kind of went by. You know, it just seemed like it's going to be the next century, you know, 30 years or so. But then, you know, when the new century started coming in, I started thinking about that again and feeling it, and then started hearing the terms about dimensions and fifth dimension. And from then on, I just couldn't get enough of it. And I just started getting more and more of my inner direction around it. But what I'd like to say is, of course, there are a lot of people who are not aware of this dimensional paradigm, that describes so well what's happening in the world. And they're predicting we're in the end times, that humanity is on the verge of extinction. But according to a great variety of spiritual texts, and also the words of numerous prophets and sages and indigenous elders all across the world, this isn't the case. In case you're still kind of wondering about this, we are not headed toward extinction. In fact, these prophecies have told us over and over again that in the not too distant future now, we will actually be entering into a long period of peace that could be called a golden age, like I said, or what we're now calling the fifth dimension. But this isn't something new. According to a number of sources, this dimensional shift has happened a number of times before in the past, about every 26,000 years or so, while the Earth has traveled through a very powerful section in the galaxy in which high frequency waves of light exist. And each time the Earth has passed through this section of the galaxy and has been immersed in these waves of light, there has been an opportunity for all life on the planet to make a huge leap in evolution. And that is what humanity is currently experiencing, this opportunity for everyone who can to make this leap. However, the prophecies have further explained that before this leap would occur, we would be passing through times they sometimes called the transitional times, or the in-between times. And these are times of unprecedented chaos, and confusion, and darkness all across the world. Sound familiar? They've said that there would be a great dismantling of global structures that have been operating in greed and corruption and domination, because these things would not survive in the world that we would be headed for. In this higher dimension, we're going to only compassion, justice, and harmony, and unity in the world affairs could eventually survive. So that is what the prophecies down through the ages have predicted, and what the 5D teachings tell us. And here we are living in them, which is really exciting. Despite all the chaos and confusion happening in the world, also because of the powerful waves of high frequency light now streaming onto the Earth, many of us are already dipping into 5D consciousness from time to time now. And it's important to recognize this and to know what will be happening for us when we actually have shifted into 5D. So how do we know this is happening when it is? Let me see if I can describe 5D consciousness a little bit more for you and see if you recognize it. Well, first, let me describe something about when you're fully in 5D consciousness to give you an idea of this. This is when your whole sense of identification is really different. You know and experience yourself to be a multi-dimensional being, the eternal aspect of who you are. You're fully aware that you are this, that is expressing itself in a human body. And this isn't just an intellectual understanding, it's an ongoing experience of it, the full knowing and living of it. And there are a number of ways you can experience your identity, when you're in 5D consciousness. Sometimes it may be an experience of yourself as an individual spark of source, that's housed in this denser form of a physical body. But other times, you may experience yourself simply as a point of awareness in the ocean of pure consciousness. Or it might be as a brilliant field of light, a radiant presence that is fluid and dynamic, aligned with the truth of source. But with all of these experiences, there's always an expansive sense of freedom, a knowing of the power and the vastness of yourself, a large spaciousness. And you know yourself to be free of all suffering, all sense of lack, and all limitation. Those things just no longer exist for you in your 5D reality. So that's when the shift of consciousness has really taken hold. But if you're just dipping into this field of consciousness for a bit, like a lot of us are now, there's simply an absence of feeling anything negative at all. There's no fear, no anger, depression, hurt, shame, loneliness. They're just not there for whatever time you're in this. And you're not needing to resist them in any way, that they're just absent. You just feel complete unto yourself, not needing anything from anyone. And your mood is, just generally clear and peaceful, happy, harmonious. There's often a sense of kind of a quiet bliss, an energetic buzzing all through your being. And really importantly, this whole state of being I'm describing is not dependent on any outer circumstances, events, or relationships. It's just there as a natural, basic, default mood, no matter what's happening. Because there's just an easy acceptance of what is. There's no longing, no desires for anything to be different from how it is. That constant niggling dissatisfaction that's always been present in your 3D, 4D consciousness, usually on a subconscious level, it's just gone. Whatever's happening in your life is just fine. And there's a curiosity about whatever may be next, even an anticipation, knowing that it's probably going to be interesting and engaging. And at times, you might also experience a period of intense bliss or joy or love or gratitude, that just takes over your whole being. And these are incredible. They're huge bursts of awakening to higher realities that can happen during these experiences. But generally, you just experience a mood that's quiet and peaceful, balanced, optimistic. The monkey mind is gone, leaving you with the feeling of clear spaciousness in your mind. And with this, like I say, there's a sense of exhilarating inner freedom. And also when you're in 5D consciousness, there's a knowing of the nature of the universe and life that is really different from what we tend to believe we know in the third and fourth dimensions. In 3D, 4D, you know how the world never quite feels totally safe? How there's always some sort of fear about survival, usually on the subconscious level, and how there's also a sense of separation and aloneness somewhere inside you. Well, when you're in 5D consciousness, all that's absent too. There's a simple trust in life, a knowing that the universe is inherently benevolent, and that of course you're going to be taken care of. There's no anxiety, no fear about this. You feel precious and valuable for the unique contribution of consciousness that you offer to the world. And there's a profound knowing of your oneness with all people, with all of existence. You feel no sense of separation or duality. You're just one with all of creation. And of course, at the core of 5D consciousness, there's especially an expansion and openness of the heart, an outpouring of love from your whole being. There's a feeling of warmth and emotional receptivity and a flowing of love towards you and towards everything you encounter and for all of life. And within you, there's a total absence of judgment about anyone. I mean, how wonderful is that? And in addition, as your 5D self, you experience a sense of great power and force within yourself. You know yourself to be a completely sovereign being. Your presence is commanding, but at the same time, you're gracious and respectful. And you easily speak your truth at all times. And you can even sometimes experience yourself as a very large presence of energy that can fill an entire room. I mean, 5D consciousness is glorious. So I guess I could ask, is any of this familiar to anyone here? Anyone having experiences like this that I've described? And why don't we just stop here for any discussion or questions, Graham, that anyone may have about this or about 5D in general?
Wonderful, Vidya. What a beautiful overview, and very exciting for what's to come. There's a part of me that doesn't want to get into timelines. It's a 3D man-made construct. And at the same time, a lot of people are really struggling. You spoke to knowing about this very early on. I have other friends that have known about this for all of their lives. So people have been waiting for it. And
right.
And it's been hard for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I know that you know this. What's kept you going all this time?
You just keep working on your own awakening, your own healing that needs to be done, and your own awakening. And the layers of doubt and concern and pain, just start lifting off so that you find that bandwidth of 5D consciousness that is really flooding the planet now. And you can just lift up into it and just kind of surf it. There are days, when I remember to do this, which is more and more often, because the more often you do it, the more it comes to you. I just, say, oh, where is that? And I just somehow lift up into that consciousness, that bandwidth that is with all of us now, and just start living from it. And so there's no more, in a certain way, no more waiting, like we're all still waiting for the, humanity and the earth, to make this shift. But meanwhile, we can do it now, at least for short periods of time. And I think a lot of people, are having, even if it's just a few minutes of, oh,
yes.
And you get it. And they're just really, really wonderful experiences. And so it's just good to note this and to really pay attention to these experiences, because that brings more of them on, because you're paying attention to them.
And I know we'll be talking about strategies for keeping
right.
our vibrations high. And I want to speak to that. I agree with what you're saying. We have the power and the ability now to really affect the quality of what we experience here on the earth plane.
Yep.
And so being conscious and mindful about our thoughts have power, which think about, you bring about. Being mindful and thoughtful about our intentions. Are we coming from the head? Are we coming from the heart?
Yeah, right.
There is something to faking it until you make it.
Yep.
As we're stepping into this, I think about how humanity has never, while we've gone through other evolutionary cycles, we've never gone through this process with the planet and physicality, correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's
so
bigger than ever before.
Yep. We're infants.
Yep.
I mean, we're really infants at this. And what's also really exciting.
Yeah, the whole territory is uncharted, And those of us who are aware of it now and doing what we're doing, we're kind of at the head of the pack. So we're breaking ground and we're stepping off the cliff, seeing what happens. And then we can turn around and report.
One of the things I've also been hearing a lot about is, because this has never happened before, and because we're all interconnected, including the multiverse, that a lot of our star family, a lot of other beings are really watching this closely and doing all they can to support the planet. One of the things I really like with what you're saying is, I would suspect that most of us on this call, the road has probably felt pretty lonely at times.
Yeah.
And we're forging new paths. I
Yep.
like the term wayshore. I resonate with that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we are anchoring in doing the work for the bulk of humanity. And sometimes it feels a little lonely out
Yes, I know. There's some people who really have no one that they can talk to. It's really heartrending. But I do think we're entering into times now where soul families and soul tribes are finding each other. And so anyone who really does feel alone, I just say, just wait a little bit longer. This is what's happening with people. You know, they are drawing in those that they will be traveling the rest of the way on, you know, as part of their soul family, their soul tribe.
there. How do you know what dimension you're in?
I mean, that's a whole other talk I could give. You know, we all know what 3D is, you know, but when you're really caught in, really heavy emotions and, reaction and anger and all that, obviously, you're in 3D. Or if you're in a lot of fear, it's really 3D. 4D it's not actually a dimension the way the third and the fifth are, where physicality exists. It's a thought realm. And I'll be describing, I'm thinking, afterwards when we talk, I'll describe 4D a lot better, what's happening here, because we're dividing into two groups at this point. But 5D is what I described, and so if you're experiencing, a lot of those things I was talking about, you just know, like I say, what we dip in and out of it. And sometimes you can maintain it for a whole day. Sometimes you'll wake up and it's just suddenly there. It's like a gift. It gives you a reference point where there's, the negativity, those lower dimensional emotions just aren't present. You're not trying to stay above them or fix them or anything else. That they're just not there. There's just that sense of joy and clarity, and all of that is part of 5D.
Well, I know we have a couple of questions, and I do welcome folks to ask questions that's relevant to the topic. Anaya, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, thank you for that introduction. That's a lot to do, considering that you're trying to explain something that's unexplainable in limited words. But I appreciate the attempt and the frequency, and that's what I guess I was feeling the most about my experience with 5D is it's a vibrational field.
Yes, exactly.
And it's an emotional, and I'm not on the roller coaster as much, going down back in as much as I am separated from that which I used to belong in.
Yes, very well put.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's been quite enjoyable. But I also found that wanting to hold on to the bliss is just as much of a problem as being in the bliss.
I know. You cannot hold on to it.
No, you have to let the whole process go. And that's where, you were describing, you're nowhere and everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
And
so you know it.
I appreciate what you're sharing with us.
Thank you.
And I guess there isn't really a question that I had. Maybe if you could talk more to the fourth dimension, because I found that the fourth dimension, from what I understood it to be, is more of the in-between where I was pulled.
Yeah, I'll be talking about 4D afterwards, after we have questions here. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge subject in itself, and you're right. And then we can talk more about it after I do my thing, A
lot of the 5D I find too is it's through the dream state or the lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
It's more the visioning now. I don't even call it dreaming anymore.
Yeah, right.
I'm working. So those spots, those aren't always as comfortable, and I don't know if they always should be, because we're all doing different kinds of work.
Yeah, we are. Right? Yeah, there's a lot of light workers who are busy cleaning out the lower fourth dimension at this time in the dream state.
Yeah.
And it accounts for why we sometimes wake up and go, oh my God, you feel like you've been battling something. Because that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ananya.
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to say, also what happens is, you also do wonderful things. And, you're in that state of 5D and you can wake up just feeling so refreshed. So we do a lot in the sleep state.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes I actually ask for a rest.
Yes, exactly.
Ask for what you need.
Yeah.
Like,
just say, no, I can't do that tonight again.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, thanks so much.
Welcome.
Hello. First, on a personal basis, I'm lucky enough to be retired, and I can feel the heaviness of the 3D world, slipping away. So I mean, I don't know, where I've gone to from there, but is that I can let that heaviness go.
Yeah, wonderful.
The other thing is, I first encountered these ideas in the channeled material of the Law of One, and it's very specific on a lot of these points. And I just want to raise the question of timing, because the timing that was given there was roughly 30 years after about 1981. I mean, so
I remember those days.
Yeah, so we're late. So you have any thoughts on that? So.
Yeah, I'll be actually addressing that at the end of my talk. I just figured that's the timing to do it. But I agree with you. It just seems to keep moving, and there are reasons for it. But it's we'll talk about it at that point. How about?
Hi, thank you, Graham. Thank you, Vidya, for this presentation. It's wonderful. I'd like to ask, you may be addressing this later on, I'm not sure, but for you personally, how often do you experience the 5D frequency? How often do you dip in? How many times a day? Or is it just weekly? Or
Yeah, I'll tell you, as time goes further and further on, it's daily. It's not every moment of every day. Sometimes I have to just pay attention to it and I'm there. And sometimes it's just kind of there. But like I was saying, the more we pay attention to it, the more often it happens. And like, I forget her name, she was saying, you don't cling to it, but you pay attention to it. You give all your attention to it if you can while it's there, and just really feel it, because it begins developing neural pathways in your brain. It says, the brain is saying, oh, you want to pay attention to this? Oh, you want to go here? Oh, you want this? And so, the more you pay attention to it while it's happening, the more often it's going to happen. And like I say, for me, it's I'm kind of in and out of it, but for the most part, I'm just happy. And it doesn't mean stuff isn't happening to me. I mean, a lot of shit happens. It really does. I mean, I think it is for a lot of us, but it just doesn't matter. You're just on this wavelength, and you just keep accepting, whatever's coming along.
you react differently to it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. You
Thank
respond rather than reacting.
Yes.
Is one way to put it. You respond, but you allow that stuff to happen. There's always going to be, these things, especially during these times in 4D. All of our stuff is coming up. It has to be released. And so when it comes up, rather than going, oh my God, oh, this again, I thought I healed it, blah, blah, blah. Just say, oh, here's this thing. I guess it wants to release. If there's something you still need to learn about it, you can do some investigation into it. But, if it's something you have worked on for years, don't go back into it again, because it just holds it in. You want to let those things go.
And just thank it for letting you know that it's still there, and say, okay, I know you're there. Thank you.
Right,
and
right.
now I'm willing to let you go, sort of thing. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl is our U.S. coordinator, Vidya. And for those of you who are joining us, she just came back from a well-deserved vacation. Great to see you, Cheryl. And thanks for jumping in. Vidya, I really appreciate what you're saying. And I'm thinking a couple of things. That we are so powerful, and we have we have not been taught how powerful we are. In fact, we've been dumbed down, right? And we are stepping into our brilliance. We're stepping
Yes.
into our power, and we have the choice to respond. And you said it. We have the choice to respond to things that happen to us. Are we
Yeah.
coming from a heart-centered place, or
Yeah.
are we not?
Right.
Are we coming from love or fear, right? It comes down
Yes.
to those two things. The other thing I think about is oftentimes the conditioning and the programming is such that we need to rely on something outside of us to make it better.
Yep.
Something
That's
outside of
three.
us
Yep.
to save us, right?
Yep.
A savior's going to come and it's going to make
Yep.
it all better. And I love that phrase, we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Yes.
And so the invitation, the opportunity, and I would suggest the responsibility, because I believe by soul contract, I'm here on mission to help anchor the love
Yeah.
and the light and the peace on planet.
Right.
We have an opportunity and the power to do that. And I would suggest those of us on this call and those listening to this recording, we're part of that. You have
Yeah.
anything you want to say around that?
I think you have said it. Anyone on a call like this has that in their contract. But we're not just light workers. I call us Ascension light workers. We came here very purposely to do exactly what you've been saying, to anchor the light, to transmute dark into light in every form that it is here. And in order to do that, we've had to go into it. We have to know about it. We have to deal with our reactions to the dark, and get clear of it within ourselves and get comfortable with it, and then we can transmute it. And that's a lot of what all of us are here to do.
Love it. Thank you for speaking to that. I want to get to some of our other questions. Here's an invitation I'll put out to those listening, those here tonight. Let's step into our power and make that choice and step into the fullness of our beings as way showers, as light workers, to help anchor what we want to see in this planet by being.
Right.
And that starts with every moment, as much as we can. It's
Yes.
hard because we're still human. How do we respond? What do we think about? What are our actions? Are they coming from the heart?
Yeah.
That ripples out, right? It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
To the whole consciousness, the collective. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Bob, welcome.
Well, thanks, Graham. I appreciate this.
Good to see you.
This is interesting. Quick question, and I've had this conversation with some of my members as well, and haven't come up with a good answer. So maybe you can help me here. What about family members? Family members that are not on the same page.
Yeah.
But we want them to be on the same page. We can't push them.
Right.
But how do we think about them? How's the
I'm going to be addressing that after we finish this talk. That's, to me, that's all part of the 4D terrain. And I will very definitely, because that question is a very common question. So I will be addressing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
The question I was going to ask was just asked.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
I'll be looking forward to hearing.
Okay. It's a big one.
I am aware that love is the most powerful force in the universe.
Yes.
And I end my emails with "May the force love be with you." And
Awesome.
but I sometimes have brief periods of bliss, like 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, and I'm trying to hook up with my higher self and be that
Yep.
to help all the others get through these weird times,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
be able to confront the fact that they've been lied to by the government and mass media, etc., and try to help people get through that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of your job. It's part of our job. It's one of the most difficult tasks I think we have.
Listening to your description of being in the bliss, and then of the discussion of responding and being in the moment and getting there, it reminded me of an acronym I use with students for anger management. And that acronym is BARF. And it's breathe and relax first.
Oh,
So,
wonderful. Yes.
I've been thinking about that and just wondering if you have any particular, quick methodologies of shifting your consciousness, your awareness into that space that you could share with us.
Yeah, well, actually, I think almost any method starts with your bark. It just does. You have to take that moment. And in the fourth dimension, it's easier to take that moment, to realize that you have a choice. And, you just keep remembering choice. I have choice. And if you're in an interaction with someone, that's getting very heated, you got to step back and say, okay, I have a choice here. I have a choice. And you calm yourself down before you speak. Even if it just takes a few moments, you just calm yourself down. But there's another one that I have used for years. Anytime I think of it, when there's something going on that's really heated between me and someone else, to myself, I keep repeating, God bless you, I love you. God bless you, I love you. And it is amazing, because it's a frequency that starts coming off of you. And what happens to the other person is really incredible sometimes. So that's one that I can just share.
That sounds like Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, right. Same idea. Yeah.
I love you. Thank you. I forgive you.
Right. Just all those little phrases. And, like I say, if you even just get two of them going, it's helpful, because you're being activated.
Thank you so much, Elaine. All right, one more question, and then Vidya, I'm going to invite you to continue on your presentation. Marcel, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to thank you, Vidya, for your latest book. I've been reading that with my husband, and it's been very helpful.
Oh, good.
And just kind of focusing our conversation, because we can often spend way too much time in tracking what's imploding around us. And we're in a very dense state of New Jersey with all the pharmaceutical companies this is like the Mecca, right? So like it's a very dense frequency. And so thank you very much for just kind of giving us a roadmap to start working our way through.
Good.
There are moments where you can feel it, you can glimpse it, and then there's a sky full of chemtrails, and there's a vaccine passport being talked about and that kind of stuff. And so I find I would like you to speak to how, because we are a very educated group, the Connecting Consciousness group, about kind of what's going on behind the scenes politically and some of the darker forces that are operating, and how not to get sucked into that hole of tracking that and being able to maintain our frequency without being also naive. Like right now, tomorrow, I have to we're going to a gathering to help create a preschool because all these kids just got banned from their school if they don't vaccinate. So like we're helping friends immediately create a preschool. So and a homeschool network. And so some things have to be addressed in the physical because they're just happening, things, people lose jobs, people all of a sudden have to homeschool or whatever. So it's hard to find the balance. So I just wanted you to speak to that.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And I will be presenting actually a whole thing you can do for when you go out in the world like that, where you create a field around yourself so that you're speaking from that higher dimension. Even when you're interacting with all the 3D stuff, it can help keep you in that higher consciousness. And about getting caught down in the rabbit hole, I mean, I think every one of us who've been in it have had periods of that time. For me, it started a number of years ago, and for a while, I couldn't get enough of it. I think we all know that. Oh, this, oh my God, and then this, and then after a while, I mean, now I read headlines, maybe, like you say, I want to stay in touch with what's going on. I don't want to be blindsided by anything going on, But so much of it at this point is old news. It's just more people rehashing what someone else said. It's only when there's something new, or when Simon comes on, he's one of my favorites, who probably has not only accurate, but something new generally. That's when I tune in. Other times I just tell myself, I'm not going to do that today. If you have enough friends who are still doing it, they'll probably send you something that'll tell you if it's really important, but you've got to take a break from it. You really do. Otherwise, you just get down into that lower vibration of everything that's wrong with the planet.
I saw a post not too long ago, and it was simply, your job is to hold the frequency.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was good for me because, like all of us, I give us all so much compassion, and I invite us to be really gentle with ourselves. This hasn't been an easy road.
Oh, no, it isn't.
And so you've got the human component, you've got the,
Yes.
you've got the place where we're going, there's this dance. And when I read that, I was like, oh, right, yeah. I resonate with what you're saying, Vidya, because you can go into this downward spiral. You can be tracking news stories and posts, and that could be a full-time gig.
Yeah.
And ultimately, for me, it feels like a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And
a lot
is that
of it
really serving?
A lot of it isn't even true at this point. There's all kinds of fake people out there putting in their 2 cents. You have to just sort of grasp the general job that we have, the general darkness of what's going on. And then, just kind of surf above it. And, just be on the lookout for something new, especially if it's a breakthrough. But to go even further into the adrenochrome or the children, or, all those things, once you got it, you really don't have to do that anymore. It just
Lloyd puts
brings you
in
down.
the chat room, HTF, hold the frequency. I love it. And then
Yeah.
Matt shares, FD
Very
is lit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you speak to what's happening, where we're at now?
Yes, I can do that. Yeah, so we've explored 5D, and let's now explore the territory of 4D, all the challenges we're experiencing as we travel through these really tumultuous transitional times. I mean, that's what the 4D paradigm is. And let's especially look at the experiences in regard to relationships, as people have been saying, and especially maybe with those who have loved ones who are following the mainstream narrative about the virus and also taking the vax. I'll tell you, this is such a challenging subject. It's been heart-wrenching for so many people I've talked to. But first of all, let me say that just about everyone I know is experiencing challenges of one sort or another in their relationships, whether it has anything to do with the vax or the virus or not. And this is due, as I've said, to the powerful 5D frequencies that are now flooding the Earth. They're causing a rapid rise in the vibration of everyone and everything on the planet. So disruptions in relationship patterns are naturally occurring because most of our relationships have at least some 3D elements playing out in them, right? I mean, they're just there. And nothing resonating with 3D energies can go with us into the 5th dimension. This is the ascension process. But I know if a relationship is important, any disruptions in it can be extremely distressing. And this is especially so if it's a relationship that has been long-term, like with family members or with a partner or spouse. You may be finding that old painful patterns that have never been clearly resolved before are now coming to the surface and demanding to be healed. And perhaps communication between you and your loved one has become more difficult because of all this. And old unhealed traumas are being reactivated. All this stuff is happening for us to clear these 3D energies out. And so emotions can really run high sometimes. As I say, many people are having these kinds of experiences. And in some cases, people are seeing that if they're going to continue on in the relationship, things have got to change really rather dramatically. They're really being pushed to heal and change themselves in order to try to make things work. I have so many clients in this process. But some people are discovering that no matter what they do or say, it's evident that the relationship just isn't going to last. A lot of marriages have really become rocky now. Others are actually breaking up, even after long years of being together. Business partnerships are also splitting up. People are just in general having to learn how to let go of loved ones and friends who have been in their lives for a long time. This is really hard times. Now, in other relationships, people are managing to stay together, but it's become clear that, like I say, certain changes in their behaviors and relationship patterns have got to occur. For example, let's say a couple's been playing out a codependent enabling type scenario in the relationship. It's going to become clear that this can't continue anymore. This isn't 5D relating. Or if both people have been holding on to past hurts and betrayals or anger, and especially if there's been a great deal of blaming of each other, these patterns also can't persist in the relationship any longer where we're going. In other cases, people are discovering that if they're to stay together, they can't any longer hide things from each other. If either person hasn't been expressing his or her true feelings, they've been dishonest in any way, the truth has to come out now. And at the same time, if the two people are too emotionally dependent on each other, this isn't working anymore either. Everyone is now being compelled to be responsible for creating their own happiness and their own sense of feeling valuable and lovable, and to not keep trying to get this from other people in their lives. This kind of emotional dependence is actually a really 3D way of relating to others. And a lot of people are in these relationships. But in general, people are discovering that in order to stay in a relationship, all patterns they developed in the old 3D reality that aren't based in love and respect have to change in order to match the new frequencies that are now coming in. So all that's difficult enough to be handling. But there's another aspect to this whole scenario that's playing out in relationships at this point. And it can be even more troubling for us with loved ones who are apparently not on the same path of ascension with us. And you may have wondered something. If your loved ones are not aware or interested in ascension, are they going to be ascending into the fifth dimension along with you? It's a good question. In fact, in realizing how difficult the ascension process may be for you as someone already on a conscious spiritual path, you may wonder how other, lesser awake individuals could possibly make the leap into 5D consciousness at this point, or even in the near future. There are just too many who are so steeped in negativity and spiritual ignorance. Even aside from those involved in the dark agenda of the cabal, all those people. But, there's a lot of other people. It just seems like it couldn't be possible. And the truth is, not every soul incarnated today on Earth will be making the shift into the fifth dimension. Many will have decided that it would just be too difficult to make it in this lifetime, and they will choose to leave the planet beforehand in one way or another. If you look closely, you will see that there are currently two different groups of people on the planet now who appear to be moving in very different directions. The first group consists of those souls, like us, who have chosen at this time to make the journey into the fifth dimension. And this group is currently traveling through the higher fourth dimension, rapidly waking up And they're often focused on healing and service to others and wanting to help create the new earth. And there are other souls currently less awake, but nonetheless also planning on ascending. But they are, also finding their way into the higher levels of the fourth dimension, but just more gradually at this point. They'll be catching up at some point. But then there's the other group of people going in the other direction into the lower fourth dimension at this point. And this includes, of course, all those controlling and manipulating beings who have been wreaking havoc on humanity. And also those souls who have decided that they just can't ascend in this lifetime. And this group will remain for a while on Earth in the process of continuing to learn from their third and fourth dimensional experiences. These are people who are, holding on to the darker and heavier thoughts and emotions and energies. And, a lot of them are very threatened by evolutionary change. And some of these people, as times get rougher and rougher, may attempt to escape more into drugs and alcohol and sex and probably virtual reality at some point. And many will eventually be leaving the Earth plane as the Earth's frequency continues to rise in order to continue their third dimensional experiences elsewhere. After death, they will be taken to other places in the universe in which the third and fourth dimensions are still available for further evolution in those vibrations. And they will continue on with their own evolution there. And we can see a lot of these people today who are in this second group. They're the ones who are still fearfully holding onto the narrative about how dangerous the pandemic is and are religiously wearing their masks even while driving alone in their car. We all see them. They're just still holding on to 3D beliefs and concepts and are deciding to continue to play the whole game out in whatever direction it takes them. And this is all right action for them. This is what we have to remember. But what's really strange at this point is that although these two groups of people are operating very differently now from each other, both of them will be coexisting in the world until the planetary shift occurs. And the world may get stranger and stranger for people like us. I mean, we're already feeling like beings visiting an alien planet with inhabitants we feel less and less resonance with, right? But as time goes on, the continuing 3D life that many people will continue to live will probably feel more and more alien to us. But I know, hearing about the two different paths humanity is now taking, it can be really hard to hear if you have loved ones who are obviously not motivated about ascension or furthering their evolution. And this can be doubly troubling if your loved ones have taken the vaccine and you're concerned about the dangers of this. And what you may have to come to terms with is that you might be leaving certain loved ones behind for now. You have to keep in mind that all souls on Earth have been given the choice to ascend. Some have chosen this path and some haven't. And if they haven't, you need to respect their choice. As souls, we are each being inwardly directed now onto the path that will best serve our own unique evolutionary growth. We are all sovereign beings, and we have to make our own choices. And if it's clear we're headed in a different direction from people we love, we got to be able to let go of our old ties that we've had with them. But at the same time, do allow yourself to feel any sadness or grief that may come with this. Honor your feelings. Just don't spend time wallowing in them. Do what you can to commit yourself to your own choice of ascension and trust that those that you leave behind are meant to walk a different path, or it may just look like a different one. They may be part of the group that will eventually be following you into the fifth dimension just a little bit later. In the end, we need to be courageous in trusting that if love truly is there between us and another person, at some point, we're going to be reunited again in one way or another. And in truth, the love we feel for them will still remain in our hearts, no matter what occurs. But the other thing to remember, if you're having a difficult time letting go of old familiar relationships with people who seem to be traveling in a different direction at this point, is that it can be helpful to see your situation from a higher perspective. Like, you can become aware that a space is now opening up for new people to come into your life. People more like yourself, people who perhaps have a similar spiritual mission that you have, people who resonate with your worldview at this point. You need to be aware that a whole new life is actually opening up for you during these times. And everything and everyone new coming in needs a clear and open space without old 3D energies in it in order to enter into it. So it's important to look around you and see who does seem to be on the same path with you and feel into them. Is there an energetic resonance that you can sense between you? Some of these people you may already know, but haven't thought about getting to know better. Others could be brand new in your acquaintance, or the only connection you can have with them at this time is online. But it can be important to try to deepen these relationships. These people could well be part of your soul tribe, like I was saying. Those you're going to be traveling together with on your continuing ascension into 5D. You might be destined to work with them on humanitarian projects together, or you may have similar passions you never knew about together. So this process of finding our way through these fourth dimensional transitional times is really challenging. I think we all know this. But, like Graham was saying, more than ever, there seem to be two choices for how we choose to navigate our way through them, either with love or with fear. But even if we choose love, how can we do that consistently? How can we stay in 5D consciousness with all the increasing challenges we're dealing with, both in the world and in our personal lives? Well, like I was mentioning before, there is one way I've found, and this is to create what I've called a 5D bubble of light around you. This is a unique environment of 5D consciousness of your own making, in which you can live your life. And in creating this, you can more consistently feel positive and supported and uplifted, no matter where you go or what you do. And you'll find it's easier to keep in charge of your thoughts and your emotions and not be swayed by outer events out in the world, or by the opinions of other people about those events or about you. And also you'll find that, when you're caught off guard by something that triggers you, this field of light, this high frequency light around you will automatically give you a sense of peace and support, even before you tune into it. You won't have to struggle to remember, okay, but what do I need to do to keep my vibration high? Or how do I respond to this? The field of light is already there to keep you balanced. So I thought I'd offer some suggestions for how you can create this kind of 5D bubble of light. Or actually, why don't we just all do this together if you want? I mean, what do you think, Graham? Should we maybe take a break and then come back to do this, or should we just go into it?
Sounds great. Let's go into it.
All right. Let me just do this. So, okay, to begin, let's just close your eyes and take a deep breath and just relax your body. And let's call in divine light to fill and surround and protect you. And see this light flowing in through your crown chakra, and circling all around you, and then beginning to form an energetic bubble of light around you. filled with love and with joy and peacefulness. And just relax as this bubble continues to form all around you. Feel the light in the bubble, how it's completely filling and surround you, and also creating a protective shield around you. And this bubble can be as big or as small as you want, whatever is comfortable for you. And if you can't quite see it, just feel it. Just know it's there. And now let's call in the energies of the Archangels, the Ascended Masters, or galactic guides you may relate to, any kind of higher guides that you want to call in with you, their energies, to just fill it further with a high frequency. Just call them in. And feel the sense of safety within the bubble and the feeling of ease and relaxation it brings. And now let's bring into your bubble a feeling of happy and gratitude. Now just say these words and feel them. Happy, happy, happy. Can't help but feel happy when you say it enough times. And now gratitude. This is a really high vibrational word. You can feel it in your heart when you speak it. Gratitude. And now you can add other words, maybe like laughter, pleasure, fun. Just say these words. Just feel the vibration of them float into your bubble. Bring in beauty. And maybe add strength, balance, confidence. Just saying these kinds of positive, high frequency words to yourself will shift the sensation inside of you. Really pay attention to this. It's a very simple tool. And if you have trouble feeling any of them, take a moment to remember a time in the past when you really did feel it. For instance, let's say you don't feel anything much in saying the word pleasure, maybe because you haven't had much recently. See if you can remember an experience in your life when you did feel a great deal of pleasure on some level. It could even be just a time you were eating a wonderful bowl of ice cream. You know, that sense of pleasure that comes with that. Whatever pleasure is to you, just say pleasure and see what happens. And as you call forth the memory in your mind of a very pleasurable time, you'll see that your whole body begins remembering the feeling of it. It's always there. You just don't always tune into it. Spend time enjoying the memory and the body sensation and feel this energy permeating your whole bubble. And this will give your brain the message, like I was saying, to strengthen the neural pathway of that memory and the sensation that you felt with it and make them more available to you. And so now, finally, let's add in a feeling of love in your bubble. First, bring in love for yourself. This is really, really important. Bring in appreciation and acknowledgement and gratitude to yourself for how you keep going, doing the very best you can, no matter what life throws at you. Now bring in love for others that you know. Feel this love coming from your heart, flowing through the bubble. And just feel all that you've created now inside this sphere of light that's all around you, this sphere of energy. because it's all very real. So when you feel complete for now, you can open your eyes and keep aware of the bubble's presence that's still around you and within you. It's a field of energy that can be sensed and actually almost seen. It's bright, it's fluid, nurturing, alive. And you can continue to call more light into it and more high vibrational emotions and thoughts that permeate it. And at some point, when you stand up and begin to move around, don't forget about it. If you pay attention, you'll experience how the bubble moves with you. You know, walk around inside your home for a while and then go outside, go for a walk, staying aware of the bubble as it continues to just stay with you as you walk along. Play with it, experiment with it, make it bigger, make it smaller. It can really make you smile when you just keep aware of it. And then, you know, take some time every day for a while to strengthen it by paying attention to paying attention to it when you wake up in the morning and at night before you go to bed. And as often as possible during the day. You know, after a while, you'll see that when you tune in, it's already there, waiting for your awareness of it. This is your mobile 5D consciousness vehicle, you know, your light body. So you'll find that it can be especially wonderful in certain ways or places, such as, you know, when you go out in the world. If you remember your 5D bubble when you go shopping or wherever else a lot of people are, it will be much less disturbing when you encounter anything negative out there. You know, like when you see everyone wearing masks, looking fearful, lonely, despairing, all that stuff that goes on out there. The negative vibrations will not penetrate your 5D bubble so easily. They will be met by the joy and the love and the peace that you've created. You know, and it's just going to soften the blow. You know, you're still going to feel deep compassion for all you see out there and perhaps feel moved to interact with people in a kind and friendly manner. But any negativity you encounter isn't going to impact you as much. And there's another thing you can do to help ease your way through 4D. And that's to focus on your trust in the divine. And I'll tell you, this is actually essential during these times. In many ways, there really is no other choice, since all the usual ways to provide yourself, you know, for yourself and keep yourself safe seem to be disappearing in a lot of ways. You know, especially if your financial situation looks dire or your health challenges have increased, you may feel yourself in a state of fear about survival. And God, you know, this can be terrifying if you haven't learned to trust that you will be taken care of in one way or another. And the truth is, you are being taken care of. Be aware that you are needed on this planet now more than ever. You are going to be taken care of. And when you trust like this, I'm sure you know this, you start seeing how magic can really begin to happen. All the synchronicities start happening. I mean, just things come out of nowhere. It can be so exciting. And you see that answers to problems that, you know, that you've never seen before. And, you know, you just begin to relax in ways that are maybe surprising to you when you just decide, I'm just going to surrender to trust, because that's really all I can do. And, you know, another thing you can remember is that anytime your attention shifts to the future, which is not only shaky and uncertain, as we know, but seemingly dire at times, you'll see that fear automatically appears and your vibration drops. Now, of course, you can make plans for the future, you know, the events and things that you hope to be doing, but be careful, don't get caught in spending a lot of time focusing on what terrible things could happen in the future. You don't know. We really don't know what the future holds at this point. And what you can do is actually become aware that the only safe and sane place is to be in the present time, and actually in the very moment that you're living. You can experience how the present moment is what is real. And that is where you create your future. I mean, we all know these things. You see that if you keep yourself happy and positive in the moment, you're creating this experience for the next moment and the next and the next. And always, when things get rough, keep remembering that we are in the transitional times now, on our way to 5D. Just keep remembering that. We are so fortunate to be alive during these times of the shift. These difficult times are not going to last forever. We will be experiencing 5D in this lifetime. But of course, as it's been brought up, there's always the question of, when is the shift going to take place? How much longer do we have to go through this? Well, what makes it so difficult to know is how complex the determining factors are. We have to realize that every decision that every person on the planet is making is contributing to this timing. So it can't be accurately known in advance, only guessed at based on what is occurring at the moment of time you're guessing. However, I can tell you the general sense that I get at this moment, and that's just from me. And that's that within the next couple of years or so, what has been called the event will probably be occurring. We are really moving our way towards that at this point. And this will be dramatic in preparing people for ascension because, among other things, all implants in our bodies that have been controlling us are going to be gone. And my understanding at this point is that after this event occurs, the souls who are still on the planet at that point will probably ascend within the following few years, possibly in several different groups over the next years. However, in the meantime, according to many different kinds of sources, it's likely going to get pretty rocky, not only in the ways that we're now used to, but maybe even around Earth changes. And before the event, as we know, a whole lot more of taking down of the cabal has to take place, which could even mean physical wars that will be fought. We really do have to be patient and courageous and strong to make it through what may be in store on the planet for a little while longer. But the good news is that we are definitely on a steady, positive timeline into the fifth dimension now. And there are a lot of sub-timelines, within the larger one that humanity will be kind of sliding around on, probably zigzagging a lot. But we just have to keep knowing and intending that we will make it to 5D in the best and the fastest way possible. And very importantly, no matter what is occurring in the outer world, the high frequency waves of light that are now pouring onto the planet are making it more and more possible to raise our frequencies and live more and more in 5D consciousness now, like we've been talking about. And this is what's important now, to tune into these frequencies as much as possible on a daily basis and immerse ourselves in them. Like I was saying, you can kind of surf them when you reach that bandwidth where they are. And the higher we keep our vibration, the easier our lives are going to be, and the greater help we can give to all of humanity just with our presence. So that's what I have to say about all that. And I guess let's just open it up again for more discussion on what I've been talking about.
Vidya, thank you so much. Just such rich information and perspective and content. I loved your exercise.
Oh, good.
I could see doing that in the morning and
Yep.
the evening. I mean,
Yep.
to really
Yep.
anchor it in as
Right.
I get into the day and as I close the day, and just have it be
Right.
more and more of a presence in terms of keeping my vibration high and
Yeah.
having that bubble of strength
Yeah.
and protection.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
really liked how you invited us to use that when we go out into the world.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree, when we're in a higher vibrational state, a lot of that lower base 3D stuff doesn't glom onto me.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't even reach me.
Yeah, right, right. Because your love and your high consciousness, it bounces off of it.
And I also really appreciate how you spoke to the gut-wrenching challenge of family and friends and
yes.
people, especially hard with family and friends and loved ones. And I keep coming back to what you were saying too. It's we're all being supported in different ways, and we're all here for different reasons. And we don't necessarily know what that is from person to person.
We
have
really
different
don't.
soul contracts, right?
Yep.
And so I've been getting to a place of let go, let God. I just keep getting to that place, and really honoring people where they are, where they're at. And I don't feel this need to try to, don't you see what's going on? Come on. And I just let that go. Yeah.
Someone said something that 2020 was the red pill year, time to try to convince people and, bring them on board. 2021 is kind of, you just sort of let go of that. Just let people take the blue pill if that's where they seem like they're going. It's like people have already made their choices. And like I say, it's on the soul level. It's not even the personal level. People are, it just seems like, why are you doing that? It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. And they can't tell you, but it's because they're already headed in that other direction.
One person asked in advance, well, focusing on the chaos and the current events and the vaccines, and will that keep someone from ascending?
It depends on how you do it, what consciousness you do it in. You can be following all that stuff, thinking about it, being involved in it as someone who's somewhat detached from it and just looking at it. And that's fine. You're just learning about it. But if you do it from a consciousness of fear and anger and all those lower things, then, it's going to hinder you.
Okay, let's bring on some other questions.
Thank you. These questions came up before we did our bubbles of light. Thank you for that. That was really powerful. I have a couple of things. One, thank you. You mentioned the love connection. We're worried about, I'm worried about my family that looks like they're going a different direction.
Yes.
And your comment about the love connection, don't give up on the love connection because you don't know where they're going or what's going to happen down the way. That was really, really helpful. I'd like your observation on, we talked about splitting into two groups, and I really see this. I mean, there are people that I used to love to be with.
Yes.
I don't care to be with them now.
Yep.
All they want to talk about is how proud they are that they got their vax.
Right.
So, but it seems that group is like the bigger group, and there aren't as many people taking what would refer to as the ascension path. So that's one comment I'd like you to comment on. The other thing is children.
Yeah.
The thing that really breaks my heart is the children. I mean, I see children as young, like 2 years old in the grocery store with a mask. And all I can do when I see them, I say a prayer every time.
Yep.
And I hope that they will be released from this prison that they're in and that they can learn to be people.
Yes. Right.
Your comments on those 2 points.
Okay.
Please.
Remind me what the first one was.
The first one was the two groups. It feels like the group that's not heading in an ascension way seems way bigger than the other group.
And that, from what I understand, is accurate. And at the same time, from what I understand, that this time that the planet is shifting into 5D, how it does it every 26,000 years, many, many more souls are going to be able to shift into 5D than ever in the past before. That's the only thing I can tell you about it. it's just been too hard, with the controlling that had gone on. If we hadn't been controlled and just been in 3D, a lot more people could have done it. But it's, it's just the history of humanity, how those controlling forces came in at one point. So the thing about children, oh my God, yes, your heart just, I can't stand it sometimes when I see kids running around with masks on. And, again, you have to just go into your bubble and just hold light and love for them. I stream the light of the Holy Spirit. This is just something I learned years ago. It just comes in and out through my third eye. And I surround, fill, and protect, another person like that. And you can really feel it. And then the light comes back to you. There's like this connection of light between you. And you can do this with anybody you come across. You can do it while you're talking to someone, or you can do it to, someone on the street, when you see them, a homeless person or, something, or a kid with a mask. Send them light for the highest good of all concerned, for the most benevolent outcome for everyone concerned. And that just keeps you in that higher vibration, when you just don't allow yourself to get caught. It doesn't mean you don't feel the compassion and the grief. You just don't stay there. You understand? You just sort of take charge of yourself after a while. There are times, and I don't know about anyone else, but I have had such huge reactions that are emotional that just burst through me. It's like rage sometimes. I go out in the world, it's like rage that I've never felt before just comes out, or grief that just impacts me. But, I'm aware enough to just feel it, let it be, but just let it release. Because I think, for a lot of us, it's our own grief and our own rage, but it's in the collective too. And that's a lot of what we light workers are doing, is transmuting, the grief and the rage that's out there. And, we're souls who can do that. So just keep in mind that is a lot of what you may be doing, when you feel these feelings.
I
Great.
will share just really quickly. I was in church, and my church doesn't require a mask. In fact, the service I go to, if there's say 50 people there, maybe 1 or 2 people will have a mask. There was a child in mass with his dad with a mask on, and he actually has some disabilities. And I looked over and I said a prayer. Then I looked away and I looked over, and he had taken his mask.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
It was like a great day.
Yes, yes.
So, thank you.
Yeah, the power of your presence and your intention. Yeah, very good.
Great. Thank you, Laureen. Anaya?
Yes, I thank you for the bubble. That raised the frequency of this whole group. I could feel it, definitely. I wanted to just mention that in my experience, how I left my family behind and my partner, and there isn't really many people in quote old life
right.
that resonate with me, although we can talk mundane things.
Yeah, right.
That isn't where I get fed. And in that I learned to really work with my guides and my star family.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was through the night time.
Uh-huh.
But one thing I've really found with the quantum work I've done is that there is no death. So if you think that someone's going somewhere away, they're just changing form. I mean, I had my own near death.
Yes.
So I understand it. It's like transforming into a different form, and your consciousness is still there. Your love is still there.
That's right.
So there's really nothing to fear.
Yeah, right.
From people making those choices. I know it's not nice to see. I mean, and I worked with children most of my life, 25 years. I was teaching and coordinating programs. But there also is a reason that this is their time.
Yes.
And I can't assume my perception of what I want it to happen.
That's right.
Is the thing that should happen. So
you've reminded me of something else, when you talk about the quantum field Even with people who are still living, let's say it's a family member, someone that, you know, you're having a difficult time with, you just can't talk things through. Something you can do, and it can be magical, is, and I usually, if this ever happens, I sort of do it at nighttime when it's sort of quiet. I move into the quantum field. You know, it's around us, all around us, always. Just move into it, and you call to that person, you know, the higher self of that person to come to you. And it's really amazing. You suddenly feel them there because everybody's available. We're all connected in the quantum field.
Yeah.
And you can have a conversation with them on a higher level in that field. And, you know, and then you listen to them and what they have to say. And then it can be, like I say, magical what happens on this level when you next talk to them, because something has shifted, because you've been able to talk with love on that other level. So I just wanted to add that in.
Yes, thank you for saying that. That is so true. I do hypnosis and regression. So
very good. Yes.
When you can't talk with them on the 3D level.
Yep.
There's other ways to communicate. Yeah.
Right. Very good.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anaya. Glenn and then Janice.
Okay. I regard these negative things that are going on, like the vaccine or whatever. I focus on the truth about it. And I think we all have the ability to sense the truth.
Yeah.
And we can always ask our guides. And I've decided to think of myself as Glenn the Bubble Lincoln, so I can maintain that awareness.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
That's a great strategy, Glenn. Thank you. Janice, welcome.
Yes, thank you. I have a question. We're talking about people that have crossed over and communicating with them. My question is, if someone has crossed over, let's say natural causes or whatever, will they experience 5D with us?
Some will and some won't. Again, it's the same kind of bifurcation taking place in that field. Some will, and you know, they may be being born now for all we know. And some will go to these other places in the universe, you know, to continue what's best for them. That's my understanding of it.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vidya, can you speak a little bit more about trust?
Yes.
Trust, having trust that this will come about, having trust that our angels and guides are with us and we're not alone.
Yeah.
Can you speak
It
to
can
that?
be so hard when you really don't have that knowing yet. You know, some of us are blessed, you know, to have the knowing about it, but some people, that's all that's left. And it can be the biggest and hardest decision of your life sometimes to just, you know, I see it as stepping off the cliff and just trusting that you're not going to fall. But this is really what the divine is asking of us now. It's like, you know, just like Source is saying, I've always been here. I've always been, you know, you are me. I'm always here. Of course, I'm going to take care of you. I know you don't know because you're stuck down there in the, you know, the 3D clouds of ignorance down there, but I am here. And you just have to trust that. I wish I could tell you more about what it is, but for some people, it is the biggest decision they're going to have to make, to quit trying to make something happen if it's not happening, and just allow themselves to be where they are right now. And, you know, if you can't get into the trust because you feel, you know, so much grief, you may have to, for a while, feel the grief. The grief may be what's in the way. Or if it's anger or fear, you know, whatever it is, if you don't feel the emotion, it's going to dig its heels in, because emotions want to be felt. They want to be experienced. Doesn't mean you wallow in them or you indulge them, but you give them respect. You say, oh my God, this grief is here. It's awful. It feels so scary, but I've just got to feel it for a little bit. Just really surrender to it. And then, just allow it to be and go about your business.
And we're also carrying stuff for the collective, for our ancestors,
Yes,
for past
right.
lives.
The
Right?
whole,
There's a lot.
yeah, it's so much of what we're carrying. Some people think, well, my life hasn't been that, you don't know about your past lives. You've probably taken on for your family. If there's, stuff like, sexual abuse or alcohol abuse or whatever in your family line, you're probably someone, who's helping to release that for all the souls, in your family line. Those of us who are light workers, awake as we are, we've taken on a lot of stuff. And you really got to love yourself for this, and not keep thinking, oh, what's wrong with me? Oh, I've got this again. Oh, I have to get rid of this. No, it's just 3D stuff. It's not even yours most of the time.
There are times when I think I've hit bedrock on an issue. It's like, oh, thank God I'm done with that. Just to have it like, oh, you again.
Yes, right.
And I also, we are sovereign beings, and we need to ask for the help, right?
Yes.
Whether you believe in it or not,
Yeah.
we have angels, guides, we have our team.
Yeah, and
with
we've
us,
got
but we need to
we've
ask
got
them for
galactics here, really ready, waiting for us to ask for that help. There's so many here now. Just put out the call, and I'll tell you, magic can happen within moments sometimes. But when you do that, you just wait for them to come. They're right there.
I'm thinking of this quote that Wayne Dyer used to say, I will see it when I believe it.
Yes.
There's all kinds of trust with that, isn't there?
Yeah. Right.
I wanted to get back to 5D consciousness and what the new human will look like. Can you speak to that a bit?
It's kind of hard because like I said, there are different levels within the fifth dimension. And from what I understand, as you get into the higher aspects of fifth dimension towards the sixth, form gets more and more light filled. We eventually become a light being, but initially, we're just less carbon based and more crystalline based, and our bodies start healing themselves. It's much easier to be in the body, and it's lighter. It's just, much easier to live, both physically and emotionally.
I'm trying to get my head around experiencing instant manifestation.
Yes.
Accessing my full psychic abilities.
Right. If we really look at it, manifestation is getting faster and faster now.
I agree.
As we get further and further, closer to 5D, sometimes something will manifest even before you thought that you needed it, and suddenly it's already there. And it's really good to watch those things, to say, oh my God, I didn't even think about it, but something in me knew I needed it. And here it is.
What do you feel we can do to best serve as individuals, to best help with the ascension process for the planet?
It's just stay in as high a vibration as possible. It's been like the theme of this whole talk. As much as possible. And when you can't, be really careful about falling into guilt or blame or doubt or self-hatred. Love yourself no matter how you are. I can't say that enough. You have to have unconditional love for yourself.
Beautiful.
And when you have that, it is just automatic to have for everyone else. Otherwise, if you just focus on loving other people, you're not giving them all of what you could give them. Mm-hmm. And in 5D, there's no guilt, there's no shame. You can't move into that frequency with guilt or shame or fear, all those things.
Vidya, this has been delightful. So appreciate your time and your perspective and your insight. I wanted to use the remainder of our time to think about the power of our intentions.
Yeah, good idea.
What we think about, we bring about, right? We are co-creating and collectively anchoring and bringing in this beautiful new age, or this new higher dimensional experience. And so what I wanted to do is open up the call for people on the call, for all of us to share just quickly what you're most excited about with the new earth, with the fifth dimension. What makes your heart sing? What are you super psyched about? What do you dream about? Vidya, what are you most excited about?
I'm excited about creating a 5D center, a global transformation center. I've had this dream, I think, for decades, but it has really come up in the last 8 to 10 years. I just figure it's going to happen at some point because I get so excited about it. An institution, a healing center, just, for people who want to help create 5D Earth. That's what I'm here to do, and so that's what gets me going. Even at the age of almost 78, I am just full steam ahead with that idea.
78, come on, I don't buy it. You're definitely in a different dimension. That's beautiful. Thank you. So what I'm going to do, and folks, the power of our words, it matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our words into this recording, into this experience and space with us tonight, whatever it is that you're excited about. And we're going to do it quickly so everyone gets a chance. And I want you to make sure your video's on when you speak, so we know who's showing up. And so just briefly, what are you most excited about? What are you dreaming about? What are you passionate about? Let's help create and anchor in this amazing, beautiful earth. So hi, Vanessa, welcome.
Thank you, Graham. Vidya, thank you so much. It has been quite enlightening. I specifically think about just how you expanded on 5D. And there are elements that you talked about, which I actually hadn't thought about. It reminded me of when you talk about the 5D, when you say you're living in the 5D, that the resources will manifest for you, around you.
Yes.
And that there's a big caveat that 5D consciousness is definitely not about intentionally manifesting. And I found that to be quite remarkable.
Well, it could be either. It could be either. You can have intention. And intention, I mean, you're kind of right in a way. Intention is a lot about higher 4D. We're learning to intend to create something. In 5D, it just gets easier and easier. You just, sort of think about it, or, something else is thinking about it, and it comes. And so it's kind of a combination of the two. That's a good point you made.
Yes, what you mentioned is that you self-realize through any given situation.
Yeah.
And then you self-actualize, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And you infuse that beingness of the soul, draws you to the exact resources.
That's it.
It's remarkable. So
yeah.
I really, when you expounded on it, I really understood what you meant.
Good.
So thank you very, very much. And thanks, Graham. It's absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely. Vanessa, what are you most excited about?
Moving directly through and into 5D with everyone.
Beautiful, beautiful. We have a lot of hands up. Thank you, Vanessa, for your comment and your sharing. So what I want to do, I'm going to call on you, and I just want you to make it really brief, put it out there so we can give everyone who wants to speak an opportunity.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So I am very excited about living my passion and living in a place where we all support each other, living our passions.
Awesome. Love it. Glenn.
I am thrilled about having that feeling of love constantly.
Yes.
Love it. Anaya.
Okay, mine would be a community with organic farming and permaculture.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Brenda, hi, welcome.
Hi. Let me first just thank Lydia, what's her
Vidya.
name again?
Vidya.
Yeah, I want to thank you for a fantastic presentation. I am familiar with a lot of what she said. What I am excited about, I am excited about all the above, the med beds, technology, financial freedom for an abundance for all, you know. But my most excitement comes with the opportunity to evolve, for people to evolve spiritually. And it is my intention is to help people who are interested in developing their souls, because spirituality deals a lot with the development of one's soul through the inflowing of God's divine love. And that I am absolutely, I want to help mankind in whatever way I can.
Awesome. Thank you, Brenda. Okay, folks, we have more people lining up. So make it succinct and quick so we can have room for everyone to share who wants to share. Pat, welcome.
Well, what I am envisioning is a world where we have ended the endless wars. I mean, this humanity civilization that we've lived in has always been at war somewhere on this planet. And can you imagine a planet where there's absolutely no war and everyone's living in peace?
Love it.
That's what I love.
Great. Thank you. Patrick.
Self-healing. I think 5D would be just a naturally healing body. And it basically, if you feel good about yourself, then you have the potential to heal yourself.
Wonderful. Thank you. Lorene.
Mine is connected consciousness at the 5D level, being able to connect really with another individual that maybe I had a discussion with that didn't go so well, to have a chance to have a second try at that through connected consciousness.
Great. Wonderful. Susie.
Just happiness.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Kimberly.
To restore the divine blueprint of this beautiful blue-green planet.
Awesome. Jane.
Hi, Vidya. I have your book and I'm reading it. Thank you. My goal is to get frequency beds and use scalar and plasma energy to heal the children. That is mine.
Kathleen.
From Colorado, unconditional love and knowing that we're all going to be okay.
Yeah. Simone.
I'm excited about peace, love, and harmony. I'm excited that I'm part of this. I'm excited about that and not delusional that it's happening tomorrow.
Terrific. Cheryl.
Freedom of travel without passports and security, and speedy travel and galactic travel.
Awesome. Iona.
Clean air, clean water, healthy soil, vibrant, restored nature full of beautiful creatures that we are in communication with.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Eric.
Oh, I'm excited about sharing my love unhindered, not worrying what people think, and being able to share all my gifts with like-minded people like that are in this group.
Awesome. Dewyea.
Hi, I'm looking forward to high vibe creation. Thank you.
Beautiful. John, welcome.
My dream would be for all of humanity to experience the joy and happiness that they deserve to feel every single day.
Beautiful. Reha, welcome. Hi.
Yeah, hey. Mine is
balance masculine and feminine, which we really don't know what that is right now. We're making stabs at it, but balance masculine and feminine.
Beautiful.
I'm very excited that to live amongst people who know what they really are. And I'm in the last hour or two, I think I've found some. So I'm really excited.
Bob.
I'll make it quick. I have a business project that I'm really excited about starting. It's a humanitarian project, and I'm very anxious to do this without profits. I don't want to talk about profits anymore.
Yep, I hear you there. Vanna, welcome.
Hi everyone from Trinidad. I am most looking forward to not having trust issues with anyone on any level, and also all of us being the best versions of ourselves on the highest possible timeline.
Super. Alanya.
Hi. So I am looking forward to the healing centers being opened, and to that extending to all hospitals, actually turning into welcoming centers with alternative modalities where people find true healing and feel good to be in. And also for culture, just supporting people for their true gifts, like the arts, and just everything being open and flowing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Lloyd.
In my case, it's getting closer to source and understanding source better. And also my background is in ecology and herbalism. So I ring very well with what, Singleton and Anya Green said, permaculture, organic food. I do a lot of that. That's what I'm excited about.
Terrific. Wonderful. Katie.
Hi, from Phoenix, Arizona. I am looking forward to watching humanity blossom into the amazing beings that I've always believed we were.
Beautiful. Ian, hello.
Yeah, hi, everybody. What I'm excited for is the gifts and tools that I will receive to help others on their journey to 5D.
Terrific. Jerry, hi.
Hi.
You have a new do.
I'm looking forward to more telepathy and heart-centered communication and love, and being surrounded more by people who know that they are divine beings of creation.
Awesome. Beautiful. Folks, Kat, hi.
Just quickly, I look forward to when we can really clean up our planet, clean out all the fracking and all the pollution, and clean up the ley lines, because I think that we're part of Earth's janitorial team here. So I'm glad to be a janitor. So.
Great to see you. Okay, one more. Sarah.
Hi, everybody. I'm looking forward to kindness and caring. Thank you all.
Beautiful. Awesome. We are powerful co-creators, and we are helping with the shift in a big way. Don't forget about your power and hold on to the intention that you have in your heart for what you want to see on this planet. Vidya, this has been amazing, and I've so appreciated your time. Before I wrap up with a closing exercise, anything else you'd like to say?
Oh, I think it's all been said, Graham. This is so beautiful to just feel the heart energy from so many different people, from so many different places. It's been absolutely delightful.
Well, we really appreciate your time and sharing your evening with us. What I'd like to do, this is a connecting consciousness gathering, and one of our coordinators, I think it was Emily from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, she showed me this really neat exercise I invite us all to do. And that is to put your hands up to connect with your neighbor. So touch the screen to the person to your left or the right. Some of you on the corner, you might not have someone, but you can connect with the person. It could be up above. Make that connection and feel the energy. And I invite you to close your eyes. And as you feel this connection, remember that you can come to this space and this place anytime. You are not alone. We are connected. We are a powerful force on the planet doing amazing, beautiful things. And as we bring this call to a close with this delightful connection, I invite you to take this beautiful warmth and connection, send it out across the planet, shower it with love and light and peace, and throw your dreams and wishes into this wonderful co-creative soup that we've created tonight. What are your dreams and wishes for the planet? I feel the tingling. It's really cool. All right, everyone, you can unmute yourselves as we wrap it up and say goodbye. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely delightful. It's been lovely. Thank you, Vidya.
Appreciate it, Graham.
Big Graham.
Nice meeting all of you.
Vidya.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya.
Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Peace and harmony.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Wonderful to be with you.
Bye-bye.
See you in the 5th.
Thank you, everybody. Wonderful to be with you.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you, Graham.
Graham.